Welcome to the Smart Business Revolution.
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 You want a revolution?
You say you want a revolution?
Revolution. The revolution.
It's going on right now.
Welcome to The Revolution, the Smart Business Revolution podcast, where we ask today's most successful entrepreneurs to share the tools and strategies they use to build relationships and connections to grow their revenue. Now, your host for The Revolution, John Corcoran.
All right, welcome everyone. I'm the host of the show. This is John Corcoran, and every week I talk to interesting CEOs, founders, and entrepreneurs of all kinds of different companies. We've talked to CEOs. We've talked to founders of Kinko's and Netflix and Activation Blizzard and LendingTree and OpenTable. Go check out some of the archives. There's some great episodes back there. Also, the co-founder Ride 25, where we help connect B2B business owners to their ideal prospects. And quick shout out to Scott Empringham of Empringham Media Group. Go look him up. He does great work if you want social media support for your business. And he's just a great, genuine individual. But he told me about today's guest. And so I'm really excited to talk to him. His name is Keith Fiscus. He's the founder and CEO of Innovative Career Resources and Staffing. It's a professional recruiting and staffing firm, specializes in a variety of different industries. He's based in the Orange County, California area. He's also a proud veteran of the United States Army in the Airborne. And after he completed his enlistment in the Army, he parlayed his experience as a combat medic into a career in the healthcare industry as an emergency room nurse. And now he's had his company for about 20 years. He's also been really active in Entrepreneurs Organization, including serving as president of the Orange County chapter of Entrepreneurs Organization. And of course, this episode is brought to you by Rise 25 Media, where we help B2B businesses to get clients, referrals, and strategic partnerships with Done For You podcasts and content marketing. If you want to learn more about that, you can shoot us an email at support@rise25media or go to rise25media.com. All right, Keith, it's a pleasure to have you here today. And I want to start with a story from when you were in the 82nd Airborne. You were working in civil affairs and you were deployed to Thailand, which we weren't as a country. The United States was not officially in that country at the time. But you kind of a crazy experience. You're a combat medic, and Thailand and Myanmar had been at war for many years. And you show up in a village and you're helping this village to rebuild. They got an orphanage there. I'm sure there's a lot of lessons that you apply to your career as an entrepreneur, but tell us the story. Tell us what it was like living through that experience.
Sure. And excuse me, first and foremost, John, thanks so much for having me. Really appreciate it. Looking forward to this. Again, you mentioned I was in the military. I was in the Army. I was a medic. And one of the locations that the unit I was in, we were responsible for Thailand. We were responsible for Vanuatu, New Guinea. We were responsible for, what's north of Vietnam? It's just driving me crazy. But anyways, I was stationed in Thailand. We did a quick three-week operation there. It was myself and 7 other guys, and then we also had one advisor, Green Beret advisor, with us. So. Amazing experience. We were in this little village in northwest Thailand, I believe it was, a village by the name of Tak, T-A-K. And as a civil affairs unit, we are basically hearts and minds. So basically the government sends civil affairs wherever they need to, whether it's helping infrastructure, Constitution. We did that in Haiti when several years ago, back in the late 90s, when they had their revolution upheaval out there. So, we were on an engineering operation, basically there to help them. We were at an orphanage, help them build basically another dormitory, more space. There was this huge influx of Burmese or Myanmar now citizens who were coming into Vietnam because they've been at border skirmishes for years, they've been at war, and they were just kind of, just overflow. So they needed more space to house a lot of these orphanages. So we were there for about 3 weeks. just incredible experience. They'd never seen from my understanding and based on when we arrived, they'd never seen, American soldiers. So we would say, hey, if you see people like us in the same green color, it's okay. Everything's good. But working with the kids was incredible. They had a school there along with the orphanage. So, people were taking they would drop off their kids there and see them once a month. They would just let them stay there so they can get education, things that we take for granted.
Wow.
So that was really impactful, and I might have mentioned it before, but, that's one of the things that kind of, that troubles me sometimes when, people so easily kind of, I don't want to say bash the US, but, again, like I said, we're not perfect, but pretty much everyone's got a pair of shoes to wear every day. You can go into any grocery store, you got a full, the shelves are stacked with any kind of food you want. So seeing kids who are, basically eating rice and eggs in the morning, it's definitely an impact.
And as an entrepreneur, building a company, there's lots of ups and downs. I'm sure it puts things in perspective for you. If you have a setback, if you lose a client or something like that, definitely helps you to be a little bit more resilient.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. You learn to become selfless, right? It's not all about you. And when you're building a team, when you're building an organization, from my perspective, it's not about you. I mean, we're here, especially with EO, right? I mean, I'm here to serve. I'm not Mother Teresa by no means, don't get me wrong, but, I think as basic human beings, our objective should be to serve others. Be it starting a company, you're there to take care of your employees, make sure their families are taken care of, right? And then take care of your clients. So ultimately, I think that's what, experiencing some, resilience and some of the things that, people go through, the hardships, I think really, hopefully makes us a lot stronger, and that we can give that back and we can be more empathetic. And that's kind of some of the things I tried to bring to my business when we started it and continue,
Right.
Of course.
Right. And before you started your business, you had some struggles with substance. Do you want to talk a little bit about what that experience was like and how that, you often hear about that, people in the healthcare professions, because you have access to medicines and stuff like that can happen?
Sure. Yeah, I was, at the time, to be honest, when life was a little upside down. I was raising my then 5-year-old son. I'd gotten divorced and I had one custody of him. So just a lot going on, and hit a lot of low points. And I turned to substances really to kind of fill that void, which very quickly got a hold of me, which it always does. With anyone who, unfortunately goes down that path, and just real tough. I found myself kind of at a crossroads. I hit rock bottom. Didn't know what to do. Didn't know where to go.
What did rock bottom look like for you?
Sitting in the shower crying because I had no control of my life, or control. I didn't feel I had control because something, had, I had become weak mentally and physically, and something had basically taken over, and I was allowing it to run my life. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, at that point it's like, and I'm, so I checked into a rehab. I spent 30 days in rehab, got a chance to get really deep and get a lot of clarity, and, came out clean and sober. And
you still had others that believed in you, even if you didn't believe in yourself. You mentioned your mother, your then fiance. What did that mean for you?
I mean, everything, right? I mean, I think, and I'm not unique in this, I think a lot of us, we have our own insecurities and we doubt ourselves many times. But I was beyond that. Like, I was, from my perspective, I was a piece of shit. I wasn't worthy. I didn't belong here. But having the support of my then fiance, now my wife, of just constantly just, no, kind of, and especially when I started the company, it's, those and when you're dialing for dollars, right? I mean, you look, I was subleasing a little 10 by 10 office and staring at a blank board. How do you create nothing from something, right? You just kind of keep doing it. So people, whenever you have doubt, or I had doubt, but I had people around me who supported me and kept reminding me of what we were accomplishing, what I had accomplished in the past, what we are currently accomplishing. And, it just picks you up, just really, it motivated me to do what I needed to do to support my family and my community. And
Right. I want to ask you about, I come from a military family. My grandfather was in the Army Air Corps, now Air Force. My father was in the Air Force also. And I think of my grandfather, he's kind of the opposite of an entrepreneur. Like, he loved the stability, he basically worked at the Pentagon after he left the Air Force, loved that stability. And entrepreneurship requires being okay with a little bit of chaos from time to time. How have you reconciled those two? With coming from, I know, a military family, your other parents or grandparents had been in the military. How have you managed to survive and thrive as an entrepreneur after having been raised in that kind of background?
Sure. Yeah. And like you said, my grandfather World War II, other grandfather Korea. My dad was Vietnam. I went in, my older sister went in, my little brother went in. So it was kind of ingrained. Like, I didn't know. I just knew that I was going in. It wasn't an option. It was an option. I just didn't realize there was other options. But
and you didn't even realize you were getting paid, you said.
Yeah, like I said, in boot camp, right? I was, everyone lined us up for formation. I asked what we were doing. They said it's payday, and I was blown away because I didn't even realize that I got paid.
Yeah, I thought that, not a lot, but yeah.
And that wasn't a lot, but I didn't need much, and I was like, wow, they're paying me to, like, crawl around and shoot weapons, and like, I was like, this is amazing. I get paid and have fun. So. But yeah, I love the military. It's huge. I think it's a great opportunity for kids. I think they should make it mandatory, like they used to in Europe, 18, 24 months. I think it's huge because, right, nobody, when you graduate high school, how many people really know what they want to do? You spend some time outside of yourself. In Germany, you either had to go into the Bundeswehr, the German army. You had to, be a volunteer firefighter, I think, and then you had to work in like a nursing home. But you had to dedicate 18 to 24 months, and that's it. By then, you kind of get a feel for what you're. But back to your question, I got into a lot of trouble while I was in the military because I was really bad at following orders. Didn't really like being told what to do, ironically, and I was kind of a smart ass. So that doesn't really go well in the military.
Right.
But, I got busted in rank a few times and, found myself buffing floors for 30 days and all that stuff.
Oh, fun.
So, yeah, that's a party. But so in all reality, I don't think staying in the military and retiring from the military and government, it takes a unique personality, right? Because there's it is very stable for sure. Great opportunity, retirement, all that great stuff. But you have to be able to deal with a lot of the bureaucracy that goes along with any government job or potentially any corporate job. So for me, that long term, that wasn't an option because I'm sure I would have eventually either been lost so much rank or, I got my rank back. I did well, but I think I've always had that. And when I look back, like a lot of entrepreneurs now, you ask them, it's like, when did you start working? It's like, well, shoot, man, I started my own detail company, I guess, when I was 12, going, handing out flyers up and down the street, washing cars, waxing cars. I probably damaged more cars than I just using all chemicals. I had no idea what was going to happen. But
once you started your company, actually, first, before I get to that, I do want to ask that about, ways in which your military background maybe helped you to implement systems with the company. But when you started the company, it was a brand new industry for you. And your mother actually became an investor in the company and helped you to get it off the ground, right? So talk a little bit about how she helped you.
Yeah, for sure. Mother's been a huge impact. I think mothers are, make a huge impact in everyone's life, right? She's a single mom. She raised me since I was 5, worked 2-3 jobs, to support me so I could play little league, so I could play football, all those things. So she's always been there to, one of, aside from my wife, probably one of my best friends, even today. Yeah, I mean, I wrote up a business plan. I wanted to do something new. Took some time off from when I was nursing, took about a month off, did some research, put a plan together, presented it to her. She liked the plan. She was also in that industry as well. She was a VP of another large staffing firm, and took out a personal loan for $50,000. And, that was almost 20 years ago. So paid her back within about a year. And about a year later, she resigned from where she was a VP at. I mean, kind of funny story is I finally, as entrepreneurs, right, we're starting a company. We had like no vacation. You're working 7 days a week. You're working multiple hours. Finally, after a year, I decided I'm just going to go on a little 3-day cruise with the family. Just tune out, go on the cruise, go down to Ensenada, coming around Catalina. And then I get a call and she said, "Hey, I just resigned. How about we start another division?" So first I was like.
So she resigned first and then joined your company after.
Yeah. She's like,
it wasn't part of the plan.
Yeah, it was kind of backwards. Right. And then I was just like, I'm trying to relax. I finally got away for a weekend. And now, I got this dropped on me. My wife thought I was going to get off in Catalina and take the ferry back, but but no, huge. We started a division together. I was running the science division because that was my background. She started running the kind of what most people think staffing, administrative, customer service, a payroll. So she started doing all that division. We built that up together. Phenomenal job.
Let me ask you this. So this has recipe for disaster written all over it. So son starts business in industry he's never been in before, but that mom has a deep amount of experience in. Within a year, somehow succeeds in spite of himself. And then mom quits job unbeknownst to son and then joins company. I mean, you're seeing how like this could be a total disaster. Like she could have an idea of this is the way it should go. And you have these ideas of this is the way it should go. How did that work?
I mean, now that you kind of paint that picture, I guess you're right. It was a little debauchery there early on, but it was incredible. We have a great working relationship. She was Arlene, Monday through Friday from 8 to 5. 5:05, she was mom. We maintained that professionalism with our staff through the company. I think probably in the 15 years that we are 10, 12 years we worked together, we might have had 2 arguments. Our personalities complemented each other as business professionals. And no, it was great, and again, having her who's had a ton of experience in the industry, I had someone, a mentor that I could bounce things off of, help develop my skills. So what could have been really bad really turned out pretty great. Yeah. Worked out well. We able to send her off to retirement with a nice package, and she enjoys every day, walks on the beach and enjoying life. So
that's great.
Yeah.
So you're based in Orange County. Did you find particular industries that you went after, or how did you figure out your niche? Because staffing and career placement can be very broad. There's a lot of different companies that can get into that industry. So how did you find, a thread or a niche to go after that allowed you to thrive?
Sure. Like I said, when I first started the company at that time in the late 90s, early 2000s, that's when kind of quote unquote scientific staffing was really it was a new thing. It was starting to take off. So science was my background, my passion. So, and I had worked when I left nursing, actually, I had gotten a job with another firm and I worked there for about 15 months. Okay. And that's how I kind of cut my teeth. And it was after the 15 months where I'm like, man, I can do this better, stronger, faster, know? And then I wrote the business plan and presented it. So I got a little taste of it, but I'm like, I
can do this.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that comes from just early on, and I mean, again, I went in the Army when I was 18. It shaped me, and it just helped me develop strong drive.
Yeah.
So kind of that's where we started. I started strictly science, placing chemists, microbiologists. Well, I didn't go after companies per se, but more skill sets. What companies utilize these skill sets.
Got it.
And then again, we expanded and went into other skill sets, the admin, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
We don't do light industrial. We don't do warehouse work. All pretty keep it professional.
Yeah.
But I tell even my clients, I'm like, we're not company specific, we're skill set specific. So once we get into a company, whether it be with a payroll specialist or a accounting manager, then we can infiltrate other departments because we have the talent within the organization that can then help other departments in their recruiting efforts. And that's kind of how we've grown the business.
Makes sense. All right. I want to ask you about this story that Scott Empringham made that he told when I had him on the podcast. So, he had a crazy story, kind of his business bottomed out, flamed out spectacularly from 11 million a year down to nothing in a short period of time. And he just hit really rock bottom. And the story that he told, which is so funny, was that I hit rock bottom. I didn't know what to do. I turned to Keith and I was telling him all these different things that was going wrong with me. And Keith was like, that's great. And you just become president of the board. And you're like, can you join my board? And it's funny the way he tells it, because it was kind of like, it's kind of like you were drafting him in, but he also says that, you had a bigger plan at play. And maybe you realized that by having him devote himself to a cause that was larger than himself and that was focused on others, that would perhaps help him to turn things around. So I'd love to hear it from your perspective.
Sure, for sure. And, first and foremost, Scott's awesome. Great guy, great dad. Excellent at social media marketing and everything he does. So I needed a marketing, my Marcoms guy. He was just like right away, no brainer. Hey, he's my guy. And then it was like simultaneous, like, I'm putting my board together and all of a sudden, now Scott's, life is just really, kind of crumbling a little bit, unbeknownst to me. But then it was time. We had to get going to Macau, right? We're going to Macau for GLC. And then, then we start talking, and start sharing with me, how bad things are and financial. And so, but I knew, gosh, he's so talented, I'm like, hey man, I knew that if I could get him there, if I could give him, I don't want to say a purpose, because he had a purpose, right? He's a dad, he's got things to do. And again, I'm not Mother Teresa, but I knew if I could get him engaged in the board, that would take him out of some of his own headspace and give him an opportunity to work with, 12 other amazing, incredible people that would help his skill set, but also being on the, going to GLC and being a Marcoms guy. Now he's working with other Marcoms people throughout globally or regionally, which would help, potentially help his business, because now he's now networking with all these folks. So, I made arrangements. I'm like, dude, don't tell anyone about this, but, here, we'll give you a stipend, I'll give you money ahead of time to help pay for this. And we'll give you money here. And then we'll take, we'll do. So
to help him make it possible for him financially to go. Yeah. Because otherwise he would have been on the hook for it. Yeah.
Because I just knew it was important. I just knew it was important. And I thought that it would probably, no matter how painful, to his credit, he jumped on board for the ride pretty much, blindfolded and just like, all right, let's do this. Right. So, I don't think it's anything that I really did. It's more what Scott did, and putting his fear aside. I just tried to open a few doors for him and kind of nudge him a little bit, and kind of, wouldn't let him.
Just to kind of reflect back on this, it seems like that's your roots. That's where you came from. You come from a family that serves in the military, and that's what you do. You help for the greater good, and when you do that, it'll help you Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, I think so. Like I said, I was a medic in the military, right? I was a nurse, right? So you're always, I tell people if you're in nursing, you're somewhat codependent, and not in a negative way, but you want to fix things. You want to help people. You want to, so, and that's where, even in my business, people are like, how do you go from recruiting to staffing? And for me, it's like, it's kind of the same thing. At the end it's just a different product. At the end of the day, we're helping people, whether they're a new grad or they're, an experienced executive, C-suite, whatever. We're helping them get into another career or getting into their first career, launching, just helping them get their foot in the door. If we can play just a small part in changing a little bit someone's perspective or life or outlook or salary, we're golden. Our mission is complete. So, I'm a big baby, I'm like 6'2", 240, but I'm the biggest baby in the world. And if I can help, we're all over it.
Well, I love hearing your perspective on it, because it was really touching when Scott told the story. So thanks for sharing it. Keith, this has been great. I'll wrap things up with the question I always ask, which is, I'm a big fan of gratitude. So if you look around at your peers and contemporaries, others in your industry, however you want to define that, who do you respect? Who do you admire that's doing good work these days?
Sure. Again, I already mentioned my mother, but I admire her as a strong single mother, woman, entrepreneur herself, just killed it. So she's always someone that I'll look up to, not just because she's my mom, but because she's a successful, it's just a successful woman. Warren Rustand, we all know Warren's incredible.
Great past guest on the show as well.
And, another gentleman, his name's John Kruger. We're about the same age. He had an incredible upbringing, and with respect to, he had a ton of diversity in his life, ended up taking over his father's fabricating company when I think he was 19, because his father was killed in a plane crash, unfortunately. John's been amazing. He's inspiring to me. He's gone on, to be very successful, but for success in John's eyes, as is Warren's eyes, I think success is defined by family and giving back. So that for me is a motivator, right? It's not all about money. I mean, it makes the world go round, but at the end of the day, it's like, what's important? Life is too short, right? I just lost a good friend of mine, 58 years old, died of COVID about 3 weeks ago, healthy, worked out 6 days a week. So and that's one thing when I worked as a nurse in the emergency room, and forgive me, I ramble, but, every day was different. And, sometimes unfortunately people don't make it, and you're tagging them and bagging them. And you're like, wow, this guy was eating breakfast this morning. It's now 1:00 in the afternoon and I'm putting them into a bag. Jeez. So I think everyone needs to be a little bit, get off the social media a little bit, start connecting more with folks, like in the good old days, have conversations and just be a little bit more empathetic, because you just never know.
Yeah. That's great perspective. Keith, thanks so much for your time. Where can people go to learn more about you and the work that you do?
Yeah. And again, John, awesome. So thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. But yeah, if we can help, you can go to our website, ICR-staffing.com. It's Innovative Career Resources and Staffing. So yeah, it's ICR-staffing.com, or you can give us a call, 714-508-8620. Anything we can do to help, happy to help.
Excellent. Keith, thanks so much.
All right, John, take care, buddy.
Thank you for listening to the Smart Business Revolution podcast with John Corcoran. Find out more at smartbusinessrevolution.com. And while you're there, sign up for our email list and join the revolution.
Revolution.
And be listening for the next episode of the Smart Business Revolution podcast.